I got into fireworks at quite a young age. Ever since I can remember, my parents have owned and ran the fireworks stand here in my hometown, which is quite small. 1,000 people is the population. In fact, I'm in the fireworks stand right now, as you can see behind me. And, early on, I was probably 8 or 9 years old when I wanted to do a show for the family, have them over, eat some food, and watch a show. And obviously, at 8 or 9 years old, I needed immense help, as I still do to this day. My grandpa would always help me. We would fuse the show up with firework fuse. And then each year, of course, it started out real small. Like, I think the first show, A Fountain, was the finale of the show. That was probably 15 years ago. And each year, it just slowly got bigger and bigger and bigger. And more people would come each and every year from the town. And there was I wouldn't spread it around, just people would find out that it was going on organically due to the nature of it being such a small town. 5 years ago is whenever I did my first, bigger show. I would, hit buttons on a remote and the fireworks would go off. I would have music playing. And at that point, there were probably about 60 people there. And so just looking back on it now and seeing how it grew, seeing how it started, and seeing how it created bonds with my grandpa even, and just the members of this town has been quite special to me. Over the past 3 years, it really has gotten quite large. And I don't want to keep reiterating, but this isn't anything that I've done per se. It is just something that the town has kind of rallied around and latched onto and seemed to enjoy. Back to my previous statement, the past 3 years, there's been pushing 300 people there in our backyard at my house, watching this fireworks show that started out so small so many years ago. And so just seeing the support, growth personally, growth with my family. I know it sounds funny to tie to fireworks, but it's so true. These people have really started to rally around it. And there have certainly been things that go wrong. I remember 3 years ago, whenever I did a show, I did the Christian song Joy. I believe it's by For King and Country. It got partway through Joy, and the music to the show quit working. The show was coordinated to music at that point in time. And it was obviously devastating to me because we tried to fix it, and we had to play the song again to try and go through the script and get it to pick up where it left off. The fireworks shot, but the music wouldn't work. And it was towards the end of the song when it cut out. And so it's just why? Why is this happening? Every year it had gone fairly well. It had grown. There's a lot of people there at this point. Why did it have to not work? And obviously I was quite a bit younger, not as mature mentally, maybe not as mature spiritually, of course, at that time as well. And I remember my mom said she had a guy come up to her at the end of the show and said, when that song played through the second time, because that crowd had to sit there in the dark, no fireworks going on, as they had already gone up the first time the song had gone through before it cut out. And they had to sit there in the dark and with nothing going on and listen to that song from start to about 3/4 of the way through. And he said, Teresa, that's my mom's name. I got complete chills all over my body the second time that went through. I know who the individual is, and he's reiterating he could feel just the power of the Spirit moving that evening. So that opened my eyes of every problem, every maybe rain cancellation that happened this year, every pulling thought both directions on whether to have the show or not due to rain. Again, like this year, anytime the music cuts out, anything of the sort, that there's a worry, something didn't shoot, there's a reason that took place. And I've learned pretty quickly through this firework career, I guess you could call it, that the Lord's will be done, whether it's in the manner that I would have maybe liked it to or not. In the end, looking back, especially today, there's a reason why these different things happen. There's a reason the growth happened in the show. It obviously attracted more people to my yard. If it would have stayed the same, would have stayed small, maybe there wouldn't be that many people in my yard. And I don't want them to come for me. I'd rather them come for the experience. I'd rather them to come to grow together as a community. And also before each show, we say a prayer over the microphone, over the speakers. And so it's nice to see. Obviously, I don't want it to. I've struggled with some pride in the midst of this. It's grown so rapidly. And, like I said earlier, I don't want them to come for me, but there have certainly been times where it's like, this is my show. And I've tried not to say I or my in this because I don't want it to be that anymore if it had been in the past. I want it to be God's. I want him to be glorified through the rain delay, through the cutting out of the music, and I think certainly that year he was, and that was God in his orchestral fashion, without question, that year in particular that stands out. It seems like every time throughout the process, I question whether or not I should be doing it, the stress is just too much, but then when the night comes and the people are gathered in the yard, and I get to go around, meet people I've never seen before, see people that I have seen before and have known for a long time, old friends that have came back just to support me and watch my show, makes it all worth it. All that kind of leaves me. And seeing them smile afterwards or even beforehand, just in the pure joy of being there, is perfect and more than enough for me. Ultimately, my hope for the people that come is that they can enjoy something as a family, grow closer as a community, and leave feeling loved and valued.